Welcome back. Today, we're taking a closer look at some of America's most fascinating Lincoln cents, coins that most people would spend without a second thought, but that experienced collectors inspect with incredible care. Stay with us as we uncover the hidden details, rare varieties, and authentication clues that can turn an ordinary-looking penny into one of the most talked-about discoveries in modern coin collecting. First coin. The first glance can be deceiving. A seemingly ordinary Lincoln cent can pass through countless hands unnoticed, tucked into jars, forgotten in drawers, or spent without a second thought. Yet among millions of similar coins, a small number have captured the attention of advanced collectors because of subtle details that separate common examples from truly desirable pieces. By the end of this story, you'll discover what authenticated specimens of this coin have achieved in the collector market, why certain examples command remarkable premiums while others remain ordinary, and which characteristics experienced numismatists examine before assigning significant value. The journey begins not with price, but with understanding, because the most important clues are often hidden in the smallest details that only careful observation can reveal. The Lincoln cent, dated 1969, was struck during an era of enormous change in the United States. The nation was experiencing the excitement of the Apollo program, rapid technological progress, political uncertainty, and social transformation, while everyday commerce still depended heavily on the humble 1-cent coin. Despite its low denomination, the Lincoln cent remained one of the most heavily used coins in circulation, making reliable production essential for the economy. The San Francisco Mint, long recognized for producing both circulation and proof coinage, played an important role during this period, although it is important to clarify a common misconception. A genuine circulation strike 1969 Lincoln cent from San Francisco carries an S mint mark below the date, not a D. A D mint mark identifies coins struck at the Denver Mint. This distinction is one of the first things knowledgeable collectors verify, because an incorrect mint mark can immediately signal confusion, alteration, or even a counterfeit attempting to imitate a more valuable variety. Understanding where a coin was actually produced is the foundation of accurate authentication. Like earlier Lincoln cents introduced in 1909, the 1969 issue retained Victor David Brenner's celebrated portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse. Lincoln faces right, with the word liberty positioned behind him, the national motto "In God We Trust" arching across the top, and the date accompanied by the appropriate mint mark beneath the portrait. On the reverse appears the classic wheat-free memorial design created by Frank Gasparo, featuring the Lincoln Memorial with United States of America surrounding the upper field, EPLUBUSUNUM above the monument, and 1 cent boldly displayed along the bottom. The coin measures 19.05 millimeters in diameter, weighs approximately 3.11 grams, has a plain edge, and consists of 95% copper with the remaining 5% made up primarily of zinc. That high copper content gives original examples their warm reddish appearance, although decades of circulation often transform the surface into shades of brown or chocolate. Collectors classify these coins as red, red-brown, or brown, and those color designations can dramatically influence desirability and market value. Production of Lincoln cents required remarkable precision despite the tremendous volume being manufactured. Sheets of copper alloy were rolled to exact thickness before circular blanks were punched, softened through annealing, cleaned, upset to form raised rims, and finally struck between hardened dies under immense pressure. Even with strict quality control, the speed of mass production occasionally produced imperfections that later fascinated collectors. Die cracks, die chips, off-center strikes, broad strikes, clipped planchets, and repunched mint marks have long attracted attention, but the most famous collectible associated with this date is the legendary 1969 S-double die obverse. This dramatic variety displays unmistakable doubling on liberty, in God We Trust, and the date itself. Because of its fame, counterfeiters have frequently attempted to create fake examples by altering ordinary cents or mechanically doubling the design. Authentic doubled dies originate during die creation rather than after striking, producing distinctive characteristics that experienced specialists and professional grading services know how to identify. Genuine examples remain exceptionally rare, while altered coins are encountered far more frequently. Condition plays an equally critical role in determining collector value. Most surviving 1969 Lincoln cents circulated extensively, acquiring scratches, contact marks, discoloration, and worn high points that significantly reduced desirability. Coins preserved from the moment they left the mint, however, may still exhibit original mint luster, with brilliant cartwheel reflections moving across the surface under proper lighting. Professional grading services evaluate strike quality, preservation, luster, eye appeal, and the absence of distracting marks before assigning a numerical grade on the Sheldon scale from poor 1 through mint state 70. A certified mint state 65 red example from the regular issue can attract collector interest well above face value, while especially attractive certified pieces in higher grades may sell in the neighborhood of $1,250 to $2,100, depending on color, certification, and current demand. Exceptional coins, approaching the finest known population, often generate stronger competition because very few survive with nearly flawless surfaces after more than half a century. The extraordinary auction headlines associated with this date almost always involve authenticated rarities rather than ordinary circulation strikes. The celebrated 1969 S-double die obverse has produced some of the most impressive results in modern Lincoln cent collecting, with certified examples realizing well into the tens of thousands of dollars, and in outstanding preservation, substantially more at major public auctions. Those remarkable prices reflect an extremely rare die variety confirmed by professional authentication, not the value of every 1969 cent. Collectors should therefore approach sensational claims with caution. A normal circulated coin from this year generally has modest value, while a certified mint state example with strong eye appeal occupies an entirely different market. Factors including originality, color, strike sharpness, certification by respected grading companies, and the current balance between supply and demand all contribute to final selling prices. This explains why one authenticated specimen might trade around $3,400, while another, outwardly similar to an inexperienced observer, brings only a fraction of that amount. Authentication has become increasingly important because valuable Lincoln cent varieties have inspired sophisticated counterfeits for decades. Unscrupulous individuals have altered dates, added or removed mint marks, or artificially created the appearance of doubling in hopes of deceiving collectors. Careful examination under magnification often reveals tool marks, disturbed metal, inconsistent lettering, or other evidence of tampering. Specialists compare known die markers, lettering alignment, mint mark placement, and microscopic surface characteristics with documented genuine examples before reaching a conclusion. Reputable third-party grading companies encapsulate authenticated coins in tamper-evident holders that identify the variety and grade, providing buyers with significantly greater confidence. Even then, experienced collectors continue to study population reports and auction archives because rarity is measured not only by how many coins were originally struck, but by how many survive today in desirable condition. Proper preservation also matters. Coins should be stored in inert holders, kept away from excessive humidity, fingerprints, and abrasive cleaning, since even a gentle polishing can permanently damage original surfaces and sharply reduce collector value. What makes this Lincoln cent enduringly fascinating is not simply its age, but the combination of history, craftsmanship, and the possibility that an overlooked detail could transform an ordinary-looking coin into an important collectible. Every authentic example tells a story of American commerce at the close of the 1960s, while the rare varieties remind collectors that even within massive mintages, extraordinary pieces occasionally emerge through chance and careful study. Yet the excitement of the search is always balanced by discipline. Professional authentication, accurate attribution, preservation, certified grading, and informed market research remain the keys to understanding true value. Auction records demonstrate that exceptional, verified specimens can command impressive premiums, but those results belong only to coins possessing documented rarity and outstanding quality. For everyone else, the real reward lies in learning how to recognize the characteristics that separate an everyday Lincoln cent from one worthy of serious numismatic attention, because knowledge remains the most valuable tool any collector can own. Next coin. A single Lincoln penny from 1973 can appear so ordinary that most people would never think twice before dropping it into a cash register or a coin jar. Yet experienced collectors know that this familiar 1-cent coin has quietly earned a respected place in modern numismatics because a small number of exceptionally preserved examples stand far apart from the millions that circulated through everyday commerce. As this story unfolds, you'll discover why certain authenticated specimens attract serious collector attention, what characteristics experts examine before assigning significant value, and how condition, originality, and rarity ultimately determine whether a seemingly common cent becomes a sought-after collectible. The answer is not hidden in the date alone, but in a combination of details that only careful study can reveal. The 1973 Lincoln cent was produced during a fascinating period in American history. Inflation was beginning to influence everyday life. The United States was adjusting to major political and economic changes following the Vietnam War era, and the country was approaching the energy crisis that would soon reshape consumer habits. Even amid these historic events, billions of 1-cent coins continued flowing into circulation because the nation's growing economy still depended heavily on small-denomination currency for daily transactions. A 1973 Lincoln cent without a mint mark was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which traditionally omitted mint marks on its circulating cents during that era. Philadelphia was the oldest and one of the busiest United States mint facilities, producing enormous quantities of coins to satisfy nationwide demand. More than 3.7 billion Philadelphia Lincoln cents was struck in 1973, making it one of the year's largest coinage issues. But that enormous production figure does not tell the complete story from a collector's perspective. Although billions were minted, relatively few survive today in the pristine condition that advanced collectors seek. Most examples entered circulation immediately, spending years passing from pocket to pocket before developing scratches, dull surfaces, rim nicks, and the gradual wear that naturally accompanies everyday use. The Lincoln cent retained Victor David Brenner's iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the centennial of Lincoln's birth. The reverse continued to feature Frank Gasparo's Lincoln Memorial design, adopted in 1959 for the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. This reverse remains historically significant because it marked the first time an actual U.S. president appeared on both sides of the same circulating coin, with the tiny seated figure of Lincoln visible inside the memorial under magnification. The coin measures 19.05 millimeters in diameter, weighs approximately 3.11 grams, has a plain edge, and consists of 95% copper with the remaining 5% primarily zinc, giving original pieces their rich reddish appearance before decades of circulation transformed many into darker shades. The manufacturing process behind every 1973 Lincoln cent required remarkable precision despite the extraordinary production volume. Copper strip was rolled to exact thickness before blank discs were punched out, softened through heat treatment, washed, dried, and passed through upsetting mills that formed raised rims. The prepared planchets were then struck under tremendous pressure between engraved dies carrying Lincoln's portrait and the Lincoln Memorial design. Even sophisticated equipment could not eliminate every imperfection, and those occasional mistakes have become some of the most fascinating areas of collecting today. Genuine off-center strikes, broad strikes, clipped planchets, die cracks, die chips, and dramatic strike-through errors are all known for 1973 cents. However, unlike certain famous Lincoln cent dates, there is no widely recognized major double-die variety for the standard 1973 Philadelphia issue that rivals the legendary doubled dies from other years. Collectors therefore place far greater emphasis on exceptional preservation and eye appeal than on searching for a single famous variety. As collectors examine these coins more closely, grading becomes one of the most important factors separating ordinary examples from genuinely valuable pieces. Professional grading services evaluate a coin using the Sheldon scale, assigning numerical grades from poor 1 through mint state 70. For uncirculated Lincoln cents, graders carefully inspect the strength of the strike, original mint luster, contact marks, carbon spotting, discoloration, and overall eye appeal. Copper coins receive additional color designations of brown, red-brown, or red, with fully original red specimens commanding the strongest demand because their brilliant copper surfaces have remained largely untouched by oxidation. A certified mint state 66 red example can attract impressive collector interest, while coins certified at even higher grades become increasingly scarce because maintaining flawless copper surfaces for more than 5 decades is exceptionally difficult. Depending on certification, originality, and market demand, attractive high-grade examples have sold in the range of roughly $1,180 to $2,450, demonstrating how dramatically condition influences value even for a coin originally struck in massive numbers. The market changes considerably when collectors encounter extraordinary examples that combine elite preservation with unusual quality. Registry set competition has encouraged advanced collectors to pursue the very finest certified Lincoln cents available, creating strong demand whenever population reports indicate only a handful of coins exist at the highest grades. Auction archives occasionally reveal remarkable prices for superb gems possessing blazing original red color, exceptional luster, and virtually flawless surfaces. Those headline results should always be viewed in their proper context because they represent authenticated coins certified among the finest known, not average 1973 cents found in circulation. Professional authentication, certification, eye appeal, originality, and the constantly changing balance between supply and demand all influence final auction results. An especially attractive certified example may realize around $3,760 under competitive bidding, while another coin with the same date but lower preservation may sell for only a tiny fraction of that amount. Because valuable Lincoln cents have long attracted attention, collectors must also remain alert for altered or misleading pieces. Unscrupulous sellers sometimes clean coins in an attempt to create artificial brightness, but experienced numismatists recognize that cleaning leaves fine hairlines, unnatural shine, and damaged surfaces that usually reduce desirability rather than increase it. Others may exaggerate minor dye deterioration or ordinary machine doubling as rare mint errors, creating unrealistic expectations for inexperienced buyers. Careful authentication involves examining surface texture, weight, diameter, color consistency, edge quality, and microscopic design details while comparing the coin with verified examples. Reputable third-party grading companies provide an additional level of confidence by certifying authenticity, assigning standardized grades, and sealing coins in tamper-evident holders. For collectors considering premium purchases, certification often provides greater market confidence than relying solely on photographs or seller descriptions. The enduring appeal of the 1973 Philadelphia Lincoln cent lies not in the fact that billions were struck, but in the surprisingly small number that have survived with extraordinary quality after decades of circulation and storage. Every certified gem represents a remarkable combination of careful preservation, original mint brilliance, and historical continuity stretching back to a transformative period in American history. While most examples remain affordable collectibles that connect people with everyday commerce of the early 1970s, the finest authenticated specimens continue attracting determined competition from advanced Lincoln cent specialists. The strongest prices are earned not because every coin from this date is rare, but because originality, superior preservation, certified grading, and collector demand have elevated only a select few into the highest ranks of modern Lincoln cent collecting. That distinction reminds us that in numismatics, true value is rarely determined by age alone. It is the remarkable survival of exceptional quality that transforms an ordinary-looking penny into a genuinely important collectible. Last coin. At first glance, the 1994 Lincoln Memorial Cent seems like exactly the kind of coin most people would overlook. It is small, lightweight, and so common that millions pass through cash registers, vending machines, and pockets without attracting the slightest attention. Yet experienced collectors often pause when they encounter one in unusually nice condition, because this ordinary-looking cent can reveal far more than its appearance suggests. The investigation begins with details so subtle that many people never notice them at all. By the time this documentary reaches its conclusion, you'll understand why authenticated examples in exceptional condition have become highly desirable, what separates an everyday circulated coin from a premium collectible, and why trained numismatists examine every feature before deciding whether a particular specimen deserves serious attention. The real mystery isn't the date itself, but the remarkable combination of preservation, manufacturing quality, and originality that transforms one seemingly common cent into a coin worthy of advanced collections. The first clue appears directly beneath the date. A genuine 1994 Lincoln cent with no mint mark was produced at the Philadelphia Mint, which did not place mint marks on its circulating cents during that period. Philadelphia remained the backbone of American coin production, supplying enormous quantities of cents needed for everyday commerce as the United States economy continued expanding during the mid-1990s. More than 6.5 billion Philadelphia cents were struck in 1994, making it one of the highest mintage issues in the Lincoln Memorial Series. At first, such an enormous production number would seem to eliminate any possibility of rarity, yet collectors quickly learn that mintage alone rarely determines long-term desirability. Instead, the number of coins surviving in outstanding original condition tells a much more meaningful story. Billions entered circulation immediately, where years of handling gradually erased the fresh surfaces and brilliant luster that existed when they first left the presses. Now the examination moves beyond the date and mint location to the coin's physical characteristics. Unlike earlier bronze Lincoln cents, the 1994 issue was struck on a copper-plated zinc planchet, a composition adopted in 1982 to reduce manufacturing costs as copper prices continued rising. Each coin weighs approximately 2.5 grams, measures 19.5 millimeters in diameter, and features a plain edge. Victor David Brenner's familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln remains on the obverse, accompanied by liberty and the national motto, "In God We Trust." The reverse, designed by Frank Gasparo, displays the Lincoln Memorial, symbolizing national unity and honoring one of America's most influential presidents. Under magnification, the tiny seated figure of Lincoln can still be seen inside the memorial, making this one of the few American circulating coins to depict the same historical figure on both sides. These design elements remained virtually unchanged for decades, giving collectors an ideal opportunity to compare subtle differences in strike quality and preservation from year to year. The investigation becomes even more interesting once the manufacturing process is considered. Every planchet began as zinc coated with a thin layer of pure copper before being punched into blanks, annealed, cleaned, upset, and finally struck under tremendous pressure between hardened dies. Because the copper coating is extremely thin, even minor circulation can expose the zinc core beneath damaged areas, creating dull gray patches that immediately reduce eye appeal. Experienced collectors therefore examine the surfaces under strong light, looking for uninterrupted original color, complete mint luster, and sharply defined lettering. They also inspect Lincoln's cheek, jawline, beard, and coat, along with the memorial steps and columns, since these high points often reveal the earliest signs of wear. A coin retaining crisp details and vibrant original surfaces decades after production becomes increasingly difficult to locate despite the enormous number originally minted. As the investigation continues, Professional grading begins to explain why some examples command significantly greater respect than others. Third-party grading services evaluate each coin using the Sheldon scale, carefully considering strike quality, luster, contact marks, carbon spotting, discoloration, and overall eye appeal before assigning a numerical grade. Copper-plated Lincoln cents also receive color designations of red, red-brown, or brown, with fully original red specimens typically generating the strongest collector demand. High-grade red examples become surprisingly scarce because copper reacts naturally with air and moisture, gradually darkening over time even when coins never circulated. Registry set collectors compete aggressively for the finest certified examples available, and authenticated Mint State 67 red specimens have brought prices in the neighborhood of $1,320 to $2,780, depending on certification, originality, market conditions, and the number of comparable coins available at the time of sale. Those values reflect exceptional preservation rather than ordinary examples found in circulation. No careful investigation would be complete without examining mint errors and die varieties, although accuracy is essential. The standard 1994 Philadelphia Lincoln cent is not associated with a famous major double die variety comparable to some celebrated earlier dates. However, genuine production errors such as off-center strikes, broad strikes, clip planchets, die cracks, die chips, and occasional strike-through errors are known within the broader series and can increase collector interest when authenticated. Their value depends heavily on the severity of the error, overall eye appeal, and professional certification. Collectors should also recognize the difference between legitimate mint-made errors and post-mint damage. Scratches, corrosion, environmental staining, or damage caused after the coin entered circulation are not mint errors and generally reduce desirability. Learning to distinguish between manufacturing anomalies and later damage is one of the most valuable skills a numismatist can develop. Authentication becomes increasingly important whenever substantial collector premiums are involved. Because certified high-grade Lincoln cents can sell for impressive amounts, altered or misleading examples occasionally appear in the marketplace. Artificially cleaned surfaces may seem bright at first glance, but often display unnatural reflectivity and microscopic hairlines under magnification. Recolored coins, repaired surfaces, or chemically treated copper plating can also deceive inexperienced buyers. Experienced specialists compare lettering, surface texture, weight, diameter, and overall appearance with known genuine examples while relying on certification from respected grading services for additional confidence. Proper preservation is equally important after acquisition. Inert archival holders, stable humidity, moderate temperatures, and careful handling only by the edges help maintain the original surfaces that collectors value most. Even a fingerprint left on the copper plating can eventually create permanent discoloration that affects long-term desirability. By the end of the investigation, the seemingly ordinary 1994 Lincoln Memorial cent reveals itself as an outstanding example of how knowledge transforms perspective. Although billions were struck at Philadelphia, only a tiny fraction have survived with blazing original red color, nearly flawless surfaces, sharp strikes, and certified elite grades. Those are the coins that advanced collectors pursue, and they occasionally achieve remarkable auction results when multiple buyers compete for the finest known examples. Such prices belong only to authenticated, exceptionally preserved specimens or legitimate mint-era coins, never to every cent carrying the same date without a mint mark. The enduring appeal of this issue lies in the challenge of recognizing excellence where most people see only pocket change. Careful observation, historical understanding, professional authentication, and disciplined grading remain the true foundations of successful collecting, reminding every numismatist that extraordinary discoveries often begin with the most ordinary-looking coin.